Well, delegates at the summit stopped short of formally recognising the opposition Syrian National Council as the sole representative of the Syrian people. And the head of that group, Burhan Khaloun, was at the meeting and voiced the frustration of his people. He said the international community's inaction was encouraging the Syrian government to continue its killing spree. And even as world leaders met in Istanbul, you see the pictures of the tanks rolling into Homs once again.
Yallah! Yallah!
Syria's civilians continue to bury their dead every day. This father grieving for his 13-year-old son, who appears to have been tortured and killed by a pro-Assad militia. As we look at those pictures, I want to introduce you to Dr. Mousa al-Kurdi, who is a consultant physician from Syria. He's the chairman of the Arab Institute for Clinical Excellence, but of more importance today is that he did address the Friends of Syria summit on what he saw recently in places like Homs and in Damascus. So we thank you very much for coming on Al Jazeera today. Before you actually tell us about what you saw...
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. Before you tell me about what you saw, I want you to give me your reaction to what the Arab and Western powers did today in not recognising the Syrian National Council as the sole representative. Do you think the Syrian people have a right to think, are you really our friends?
Well, I think the community has recognized that the SNC is representing or is the representative of all Syrians. The sole representative, I think it is because there are some talks still with a few of factions of the opposition, which been scheduled for next week, but it's going to be under the umbrella of SNC, so there is no problem with that, but it is the sole representative, but for the whole of Syrians. That is the new thing, the whole of Syrians.
Can you recount for me some of what you told the summit today and tell our viewers about what you saw and I guess the effect it had on you and the effect you might have hoped it would have on the Friends of Syria delegates?
Well, for months, working as a group, helping out, delivering medical aid and humanitarian aid for a lot of areas, but mostly to Homs and Bab Amr, we know that the risks of transporting any medical equipments or medical instruments or supplies. The worst is transporting just the blood bags for urgent use. But the worst came to us 3 days ago through a Skype from some part of the southern part of Syria. About 400 families came from Homs and Bab Amr with 160 children and 50 toddlers. Most of the children had no parents because they've been killed or kidnapped. And two of these young children, one age of 14 and the other one is only 10, and both are pregnant from a rape. And the worst atrocity and the worst in this, that the secret police in Syria, in that part, prevented the doctors from documenting this incident and by sending a formal report. So they prevented a written formal report, and they asked the hotels where these 400 families and 210 children were housed in cheap hotels paid for from a charity. They ordered their eviction and also not to rent or to let to Syrians, to Homsis, or to have them as guests. So they asked me, where do we go? Just tell the conference, where do they want us to go? And more importantly, what with their help, whether the aid or the money they sending for Syrians, how is it going to bring up our parents, or what is it going to do for these two young girls of 14 and 10 who are pregnant?
Doctor, just briefly, if you wouldn't mind, a personal view. Can you believe this? Can you believe this as a Syrian? Can you believe this as a doctor, what you've actually just seen?
Sorry, can I?
Well,
can you repeat just
let me
the
rephrase.
question?
Let me rephrase. Can you believe that this has been allowed to happen? That you've seen this for your own eyes and witnessed this? I mean, the impact it has on you.
In fact, the whole conference and the 80 or so foreign ministers were deeply, deeply shocked. The conference was interrupted for a couple of minutes or more while Professor Dawood Oglo, the foreign minister of Turkey, came out and hugged me so, as a very good friend, although I never met him. And several ministers, foreign ministers, like the foreign minister of Canada and the deputy minister of United States, and Nolan, the spokeslady from Washington for the State Department, they were all, while talking to me, expressing the utmost shock that these atrocities are happening in this century, at this time, and that's why I asked the ministers, with great respect, what are you going to do to prevent this from happening? And I told Mr. Oglo, you're not doing enough. But they did recognize the right of the Syrian people to defend themselves. And this is, although stating the obvious, but it is the first step that they recognize, because I asked them, either you defend us or you arm the Syrian Free Army to defend us. You have the choice. And apparently they came up with this statement that the Syrian people have the right to defend themselves.
Fascinating, frightening testimony, in fact, from Dr. Mousa al-Kurdi joining us from Istanbul. Thank you for your time, sir.